She seems to be doing the one thing she's paid to do well, and that's to be the commissioner of a major, growing, prosperous professional sports league. Is she really, though? Is it as prosperous as it should be? See, ESPN doesn't lose money and then make cuts. ESPN doesn't make as much as it should and make cuts. This should be a booming success, the WNBA, because of one woman, Caitlin Clark. It's not. So giving Cathy...
Caitlin Clark, however, is competing in a commercial universe far beyond the one the league currently controls. She did not hold a press conference to complain about the penalty, and she did not release some carefully prepared statement apologizing for her frustration. Instead, less than a day after the fine became public, an announcement arrived that made the WNBA's punishment look microscopic. Nike revealed the next major step in its partnership with Clark, tied to a reported 8-year agreement valued at approximately $28 million, and the development of her own signature shoe. The timing could not have delivered a more ruthless response. While the league was removing a few $100s from one of her checks, one of the largest sportswear companies on the planet was investing tens of millions in her long-term global appeal. The news immediately swallowed the basketball conversation. Social media erupted, her interlocking CC emblem spread everywhere, and discussion of the signature line overshadowed much of what was happening around the league that night. Without saying anything directly, Clark's message appeared obvious. The WNBA could keep the $900 because her brand had generated millions before its executives finished celebrating their punishment. The contrast exposed a major problem for league leadership. They possess a potentially worldwide sports icon, yet they continue treating her like an ordinary rookie whose influence begins and ends inside a basketball arena. Clark's endorsements, audience reach, and cultural importance have expanded far beyond the league's existing infrastructure. But none of that money, attention, or influence can repair a damaged body. A lucrative shoe contract cannot protect a knee, absorb a collision, or force referees to control reckless contact. That is where this story shifts from financial embarrassment into something far more disturbing. Because the league's first responsibility is supposed to be the safety of the athletes on the floor, and critics believe it has failed Clark when that protection mattered most.
I mean, women are out of their minds in this league. I rolled my eyes at the many missteps of Engelbert, Buckner says. Why couldn't she just condone the racism leveled at Angel Reese and other players during the 2024 CNBC interview rather than praise the television ratings? Well, okay. Messaging is part of her job description. She's not exceptionally good at. This tracks with one of the biggest complaints against Engelbert. She doesn't talk enough with the players. That's your complaint. That's the little girls of the WNBA complaint. And you are bringing up, of course you are, because again, I told you the background, at least what I was told to me allegedly by Greg Doyle. There's a racist element here. She brings that up, not the throat punch of Caitlin Clark. She brings this up, something about Angel Reese. All right? The racism leveled at Angel Reese. Wait, what? What about the racism leveled at your biggest star? Happened a few weeks ago. We don't talk about that, do we, Candace? Of course not. Because this, again, is all Candace Buckner has to live in the world of angry African-American lesbians.
Look closely at what Caitlin Clark has been forced to endure during games. She is no longer merely competing in basketball contests. She often appears to be navigating a nightly survival test. Even while producing historic scoring performances, breaking rookie milestones, and reaching assist totals that place her beside established stars, she has absorbed an extraordinary amount of physical pressure. Teams have learned that defenders can crowd her space, hold her away from the ball, knock her off balance, and challenge her in the air with little fear that officials will consistently intervene. The apparent standard has become to permit extreme physicality, allow the game to continue, and accept Clark hitting the floor as part of the spectacle. Eventually, the danger everyone feared seemed to arrive. During a frightening sequence that instantly quieted the building, Clark attacked toward the basket and encountered a violent collision while airborne. Critics argued that the defender made little meaningful attempt to reach the ball and instead delivered a physical warning. Clark crashed onto the hardwood, and for several terrifying seconds the entire arena seemed frozen. She reached immediately toward her knee as pain spread across her face. Replays made the moment even harder to watch because the joint appeared to shift under pressure in a direction no athlete ever wants to see. Medical personnel hurried onto the court while members of the Indiana Fever staff reacted with visible alarm. Clark struggled to rise and appeared unable to place normal weight on the affected leg. The same player carrying the league's ratings, attendance numbers, and national attention suddenly needed assistance simply leaving the floor. Whether the injury ultimately proves catastrophic or less severe than initially feared, the sequence revealed the consequences of allowing repeated contact to escalate without decisive intervention. A league can promote toughness, intensity, and competitive basketball without permitting its most visible athletes to become open targets. The moment Clark grabbed her knee was not merely an injury scare. It represented the possibility that months of ignored warnings had finally produced the exact disaster fans had predicted.
The Republican Study Committee says the WNBA's response to congressional concerns about Caitlin Clark's treatment, quote, falls short, and warned that lawmakers will keep, quote, every option on the table as they continue pressing the league for answers. WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert responded on July 24th to a letter from Fugler and 10 other House Republicans who questioned whether the league had adequately protected Clark and held opposing players accountable for overtly physical conduct. And that's the other thing. Are you adequately punishing the offenders? Which we know a one-game suspension is not an adequate punishment. Even worse, we found out she wasn't even going to do that. It took the NBA commissioner giving a directive to get her to respond.
Now the condition of Clark's knee has become the defining concern. And what makes the situation especially infuriating is the belief that this was not some unavoidable accident disconnected from everything that came before it. Critics see it as the foreseeable result of the WNBA allowing increasingly aggressive treatment of Clark from the opening weeks of her career. Instead of establishing clear boundaries, enforcing consistent whistles, and discouraging unnecessary shots, the league permitted an atmosphere in which punishing her became normalized. That culture may now have placed its most valuable attraction in serious jeopardy. Supporters are furious, commentators are demanding accountability, and league officials understand what a prolonged absence could mean. Television audiences surged because people wanted to watch Caitlin Clark. Arenas sold out because fans wanted to see her play. Merchandise moved because her name became one of the strongest brands in American sports. Remove her from the court for an extended period and a significant portion of that momentum could disappear almost immediately. There is a limit to how much disrespect, physical punishment, and institutional indifference any generational player will tolerate before the relationship becomes permanently damaged. Clark may have finally reached that boundary. Following the injury scare, the fine, and months of controversy surrounding the way she has been officiated, reports began circulating about her frustration inside the Fever environment. According to those claims, Clark had little interest in hearing from league representatives while medical personnel evaluated her knee. When word came that executives wanted to contact her and express concern, she reportedly rejected the gesture. In that private moment, exhausted by the contact, angry about the officiating, and feeling abandoned by the organization benefiting most from her success, Clark allegedly delivered a brief response to those around her. 4 words supposedly captured everything she had been feeling, and immediately fueled speculation throughout the basketball world.
Not Silver, Goodell, anyone could have stopped the ugly blowback directed at Thomas following her flagrant foul. Really? But you could have stopped the foul in the first place. You could have stopped the hate. This is such a bullshit article by such a bullshit person. And it's steeped in racism. There's not a word in this, at least what I'm reading, that talks about the mistreatment of Caitlin Clark from the moment she walked into the arena. Buckner used to, I don't know if she still does, when she ridiculously and idiotically covered the Indiana Pacers. She used to sit courtside. Well, anybody sitting courtside watching a Caitlin Clark game knows that Caitlin Clark from other players, black players, is called the most vile thing. White bitch, hoe. We all know white mother, you know what I mean. We see it, we hear it, it's all the time. But you don't hear that. You hear that a woman throat punched somebody and fans got mad. That's the level of coverage of the WNBA. It's the gift that keeps on giving. The dumbest media in the world, the most racist media in the world. These little girls like Candace Buckner have never played a sport, have no, at any level worth a damn, have no idea what they're talking about, but they know this. They know this. Protect.
I am done pleading. Those words, whether confirmed exactly as reported or repeated through locker room sources, carry enormous weight. Clark would not merely be saying she is tired of asking referees for calls. She would be declaring that she no longer intends to beg the commissioner, league executives, or anyone else in authority to provide standards that should already exist. She has finished pretending that the current officiating structure is functioning properly. She has finished accepting punishment for speaking honestly about what happens to her during games. She has finished acting as though the WNBA holds all the leverage in this relationship. The commercial reality suggests the opposite. Clark's personal influence now rivals or exceeds the visibility of the league itself. Her reported $28 million Nike agreement gives her extraordinary financial security compared with her WNBA salary, and that independence changes the balance of power. The league needs her attendance impact, television appeal, sponsorship value, and cultural relevance far more desperately than she needs a rookie paycheck. If Clark truly believes the organization refuses to protect or respect her, she possesses options that most young players could never consider. She could apply public pressure, demand major reforms, challenge the existing officiating culture, or eventually reconsider how much of her career she is willing to sacrifice inside a system that appears comfortable profiting from her while ignoring her concerns. Her message places the entire WNBA establishment on alert. The league cannot continue collecting the benefits of the Caitlin Clark era while treating her frustration as an inconvenience. Unless officials seriously evaluate referee accountability, disciplinary decisions, and athlete safety procedures, the conflict may expand beyond one fine or one injury. Clark is no longer asking quietly, she is signaling that her patience has run out.
Conduct separate reviews after every game. One review examines atypical or overly physical plays, while the other evaluates the overall performance of the officials. Those reviews can result in fouls being upgraded after the game, as well as fines, suspensions, or disciplinary actions or measures. The league also uses the reviews to inform future officiating evaluations, training, and guidance. Engelbert wrote, quote, in all instances, the league seeks to apply the WNBA rulebook and applicable disciplinary processes consistently across all games for all players, commissioners said. Fugler said the league offered no supporting information to demonstrate that its rules have been applied evenly. Quote, saying you apply your rules consistently across all games for all players is an assertion, not evidence. And it's the league's burden to show that, not ours to assume it, Fugler said. Until the WNBA is willing to engage with specifics of our information request instead of simply restating their own policies back to us, our concerns remain unaddressed. We will continue to press for real answers and keep every option on the table until players are actually getting the protection the league claims they already provide. Lawmakers cited a series of incidents involving.
This is no longer a minor disagreement between one player and a few referees. It has become a full organizational emergency. The WNBA may have believed fines would keep Caitlin Clark controlled, and constant physical pressure would force her to adapt without protest. But those decisions may have awakened the most powerful athlete the league has ever marketed. Her knee may be hurting, yet the business empire developing around her remains beyond the league's reach. Now the audience has to answer the questions leadership appears unwilling to confront. Is the WNBA allowing opponents too much freedom to target Clark physically in an effort to humble the player who transformed its popularity? Will fans purchase her upcoming Nike products as a show of support after the league deducted that controversial $900? And if the injury proves serious, which executives, officials, or decision-makers should be held responsible for failing to establish safer boundaries around the biggest attraction women's basketball has produced? Put your honest reaction in the comments, because this debate is only beginning. Supporters of Clark believe the league has taken her value for granted for far too long, and they are demanding real accountability rather than another carefully written statement. Hit the like button if you believe she deserves consistent officiating and meaningful protection. Subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so you do not miss the next development. The conflict between Clark's rising power and the WNBA's leadership is escalating, and every hidden decision, contradiction, and failure will continue being exposed. Until the next one, buddy.
Never had a conversation. I get people have a job to do, but at the same time, like, don't make accusations about my character and who I am when you don't know me. I understand this is your job and this is your profession and this is what you get to do, and basketball is my profession and what I get to do. And the reason I play it is when I step in between the lines, I love it. And that's what's so fun about it for me is, like, I get to compete. This was always my dream. And nobody should ever try to take that away from me, like the love and the joy that I have for the game, and they haven't and they won't, because it's my goal to win, like win championships, and I know that I can help this team do that, and that's always what I remind myself in the moments that, you know, things go downhill.
You have to be on the floor for those 17 games.
Damn right,
in order for that to happen, both health-wise
exactly.
and technical fouls.
Yeah. Good point. I was thinking more health. I forgot about the technicals.
So how are you squaring that in your head? Because that is within
I think it should be a great challenge for me to try to last 17 games without getting a technical. Unfortunately, I haven't got a single technical foul rescinded all year. But I think, like, the fire and the passion, like, that's what makes me me.
Yes.
And absolutely there's moments where it can be reined in a little bit, and I think there's moments where I've been a little bit dull. The moments you see me at my best, I'm smiling, I'm fiery, I'm in it with the crowd, and that's what allows me to dominate the game, control the game, have fun with the crowd. Like I feel like an entertainer in a way. Like this, it's like an art to me. It's like, it's fun. It's like my creative juices flow in these moments on the court. But it's definitely something I'm going to be aware of. Like if I had to guess, like I'm probably not going to last 17 games, but I'm going to try everything in my power to last 17 games.
So Caitlin Clark says she's not quite sure if she's going to be able to not get one more technical foul throughout the course of the season, which I think is a pretty honest reflection. But in totality, Monica, we don't often get to hear Caitlin Clark's perspective in quite this level of honesty. And this is an important conversation to continue to have with empathy for everybody involved. So listening to that, what was your reaction?
What the world has watched unfold over the past 48 hours may be the most catastrophic leadership collapse professional sports has seen in years. The WNBA has stepped over a boundary it may never be able to retreat from, and Caitlin Clark has answered with a financial and emotional counterstrike that reportedly has league executives scrambling behind closed doors. Anyone who believed the punishment she absorbed on the court was already outrageous needs to hear what happened next. The league had the nerve to issue Clark a laughable $900 penalty, apparently attempting to discipline the same athlete whose presence is transforming television audiences, ticket demand, sponsorship interest, and franchise values across women's basketball. Yet Clark did not simply complain about losing $900. She responded in a way the league could never match. While officials were attempting to embarrass her over what amounts to pocket change beside her broader commercial value, news of a massive $28 million signature shoe agreement exploded across the internet and highlighted just how limited the WNBA's financial system looks beside her individual earning power. Still, this story is not only about money. Clark may be rewriting record books and creating enormous revenue, but the physical toll is becoming impossible to ignore. Her knee has now become the center of serious concern, after another brutal sequence in a league that critics say has repeatedly failed to prevent excessive contact against its biggest attraction. After months of punishment, controversy, and frustration, Clark appears to have reached her limit. A reported forward response to the league could change the entire relationship between its executives and its most valuable star. Stay with this story, because the fine, the shoe announcement, the injury, and the alleged locker room message all point toward what may be the ultimate betrayal of Caitlin Clark. To understand how the situation reached this level, you have to examine the poisonous relationship that has developed between Clark and the WNBA leadership. The league gladly accepts the packed arenas, private travel upgrades, increased media coverage, merchandise sales, and unprecedented commercial attention connected to her name. At the same time, it seemingly expects her to remain silent as opponents repeatedly knock her down, and officials allow an increasingly aggressive style of defense. The tension reached a boiling point following another highly physical contest in which Clark absorbed contact throughout the night. When she finally voiced her frustration with the officiating, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's league responded not by addressing the safety concerns, but by hitting her with a $900 fine for criticizing the referees. Consider how absurd that looks when Clark's reported rookie-base salary is roughly $76,000. The league is taking hundreds of dollars from a young player who was asking for consistent calls and basic protection, even as her popularity helps raise the financial ceiling for everyone around her. That is not simply a public relations mistake. It is evidence of a system that appears completely disconnected from the value and treatment of its most important player.